I remember this movie that I saw, comedy, quite a number of years ago, and one of the characters said, "Who would want to live to be 100 years old?" And the other character said, "Someone who's 99 years old." Isn't that so true? You know, not everyone may want to live to be 100, but if you're 99, you probably do. That one just stuck with me. I thought that was so funny. Some people are very lucky. They hit the jackpot and they're very healthy until they reach 100 years old or older. Hi, everybody. Steve here, sitting practically in front of Kirk Douglas's final resting place. I just happened to park right in front. His gravesite just faces this very tiny little street here that circles this cemetery, which is Westwood Village Memorial Park here in Los Angeles. I've been out searching for famous people who lived to be at least 100 years old, and Kirk Douglas was one of them. He died last year, and I've just been waiting for his name to appear on his headstone. He's laid to rest here with his son, Eric Douglas, who died in 2004, and he already had a headstone, and I was pretty sure that Kirk's name would just be added to the headstone, which it has been. Kirk Douglas died in nearby Beverly Hills on February 5th, 2020, at the age of 103. He got his start during the golden age of Hollywood and appeared in nearly 100 movies, many of which have become classics. He's also considered to be one of the greatest male screen legends of all time. Just a little over a month ago, on April 29th, 2021, his wife, Ann Douglas, died at the age of 102. She was his second wife, and they were married for 65 years until his death. And I wonder what the odds are for a married couple to both live to over 100 years old. I know that Bob and Dolores Hope both lived to over 100 years old, but I can't imagine that it's very common. I just checked Ann's Find a Grave Memorial page and was very surprised to discover that a new headstone has already been placed with her name on it. Now, before I forget, if you make it to the end of this video, I'm going to share something kind of funny and surprising with you. A few videos ago, I gave a birthday shout out to my oldest subscriber who turned 100 years old this year. Well, it turns out that he's not my oldest subscriber, but if you watch to the end of this video, you'll find out who is. Just a few yards or so to the right of Kirk Douglas's gravesite is the Rose Garden, and this is where the cremated remains of actress Mary Carlisle have been scattered. She also has a plaque with her name on it here. She lived to the age of 104, dying in Los Angeles on August 1st, 2018. An actress, singer, and a dancer, Carlisle got her start during the silent film era and eventually went on to appear in more than 60 Hollywood films. Her producer husband, James Blakely, didn't quite make it to 100 years old. He died in Los Angeles at the age of 96 on January 30th, 2007. His remains are also scattered here in the Rose Garden, and his name plaque is located just above Mary Carlisle's. His epitaph reads, "Ah yes, I remember it well." About 8.5 miles south of here is Hillside Memorial Park, where another famous centenarian is laid to rest. Once you enter through the gates here at Hillside Memorial Park in Culver City, you drive straight back until you reach the Garden of Leah on the right-hand side. Wow, 105 years old. So Connie Sawyer lived to be 105 years old, and she was considered to be the oldest working actress in Hollywood for many, many years. I believe she worked for 7 decades in show business. Amazing. Fortunately, I arrived here early today because it looks like they're setting up and getting ready for a funeral nearby, probably in the next hour or so. Which is why this small tractor dozer is sitting here next to Connie Sawyer's gravesite. As you can see on her headstone, her birth name was Rose Cohen, and the epitaph under her stage name says performer and actress. She died in Woodland Hills, California at the age of 105 on January 21st, 2018, and her nickname was the Clown Princess of Comedy. She appeared in more than 140 movies and TV shows during her 85-year career and was considered to be the oldest working actress in Hollywood at the time of her death. When she appeared on the New Girl TV show in 2014, she played the oldest woman in the world. Talk about being perfect for a role, right? Back in Palm Springs, where I live, we've had a number of famous residents who have made it to 100 years old. Film and stage actor Francis Lederer died in Palm Springs, and he's laid to rest here at Forest Lawn in Cathedral City. So Francis Lederer was an actor who got his start back in the 1920s. He was in quite a few very popular classic films of the day. This is a wall of cremated niches, and his is a double niche with his wife, Marion, as you can see here. And he's just right around the corner from the crypt of singer John Phillips with the Mamas and the Papas, who wasn't cremated. He was actually interred here. As you can see, he's in a crypt. And then Buddy Rogers is right back on this wall here. And right up on the right-hand side near the top is actress Jane Wyman. So these are four very famous people that are all buried here, just practically next to each other. His epitaph reads, "Never-ending love," and while standing here looking at his crypt, I just happened to notice that he was born in the 1800s and died on May 25th, 2000, which means, at least for a short period of time, he was alive during 3 different centuries. I'm guessing the odds of that are pretty small, and he's probably one of the very few people to have achieved that. During his career, he appeared in a number of film classics, including the 1929 film Pandora's Box. During his career, he co-starred with Ginger Rogers, Katharine Hepburn, Charles Boyer, Edward G. Robinson, and many others. How many of you watching remember Francis Lederer? When he was asked what the secret to longevity is, he says it's living a very long time. So he definitely had a good sense of humor. Earlier I mentioned that Bob and Dolores Hope both lived to be 100 years old, and both were also longtime Palm Springs residents. I visited their grave sites a couple of years ago, and I'll put a link to that video down below in the description section in case you missed it. In fact, I've created a playlist for all of my videos to the grave sites of other famous people who also lived to be 100 years old or older, and I'll put that link down in the description section as well. A few weeks ago, I shared a video where I gave a birthday greeting and shout out to who I thought was my oldest subscriber at 100 years old, and I invited any of you watching to let me know in the comments section if you were also 100 years or older, or if you knew of anyone who was. And I have to say I was very surprised how many of you left comments. Evelyn Benitez says that her grandfather Francisco just turned 100 years old on April 2nd, 2021, and his mother lived to be a few years older than 100. Happy 100th birthday, Francisco. Robert Thomas says that his grandmother turns 102 years old this October, and Leanne Boone says that her grandmother Erky lived to be 101 years old. Ron Brix's grandmother was 101 when she passed away in the 1980s, and her daughter made it to 100 years old as well. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention that my video about my oldest subscriber being 100 years old this year, well, it turns out that I was wrong. I received a message from Gunny Carpe Diem, seize the day, saying that he's a subscriber and he's 101 years old. Happy birthday, Gunny. That is so cool. Not only that you made it to 101, but that you're still watching my channel. I love that. I also received a couple of other messages that I'm going to have to read to you. Crystal S. Brinkley Perkins left a comment saying that her great-grandma turns 100 years old this week. Her name's Cora Elizabeth Brinkley. So happy birthday to you too, Cora Elizabeth Brinkley. So Jerry Bailey left me a comment saying that her uncle turned 102 this year. His name's Daniel Wilson. Now, Jerry didn't say if her Uncle Daniel watches this channel, but just in case, happy birthday, Daniel. I also received a comment from Arden Sin, who says one of their residents, I'm assuming this is an assisted living facility or a nursing home or some other type of retirement community, that Althea turns 100 years old this June 1st. So happy birthday to you also, Althea. Now, sadly, I also got a comment from Karen Baugh, who says that her grandma died recently on January 17th, and she would have been 100 years old on April 2nd. Her name was Sarah Jarrell, so happy belated birthday, Sarah. And finally, I received a comment from Alan Bromberg, who wanted to let me know that one of his closest friends for most of his life, or at least his adult life, Bob Chosen, will be turning 100 years old this October. So he still has a few months to go, but I thought it was especially cool because he lives right here in the desert. So happy birthday, Bob. I know it's a little bit early, but you might as well just celebrate the entire year, right? I mean, when you get to 100 years old, I think you deserve a year-long party. So happy birthday to all of you who are 100 years old or older. And if you're watching, please share your secrets with us in the comments section. This week, I want to thank my newest Patreon supporter, Elizabeth Solomon. Thank you, Elizabeth, for your very, very generous donation to my channel. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and I hope to see you all next time.